Hey guys, yeah, it's been a while. I realize I've been delinquent on the video making, but anyway, it was done intentionally, and the reason, not trying to be facetious about it, but the reason I did that is because as I've gotten older in my life, I realize that I have spent the vast majority of my life in the last at least 25 years working 6-7 days a week and not really paying too much attention to my family. And the last couple of years it's really hit home with me, and I spend a lot more time with my family now because I see what's going on in the world, and I see people around me that are pretty close to us that just people get in car wrecks, they die, they never, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot more about that kind of stuff, and I want to, when my daughter's home and my son are over for the holidays, I want to spend as much time as I possibly can with them. You never know when your time is up. So anyways, that being said, the holidays are kind of wrapping up here now, and it's time to get, well, I haven't really quit working. I just, I didn't focus on the YouTube thing as much as I normally do, but I'll focus on it again. Sorry for the delay. And for you guys that I had a comment, which is perfect, I'm not berating the guy. He said, oh, I'll continue my subscription when I see another video. That's fine. Hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you a bit. If I was in your shoes, I would probably do the exact same thing. I'd say, why am I paying this guy and he's not doing anything? I understand 100%. That being said, I got the C12 all back together. I got the cam job done on that. Oh, I took the old cam out. I ended up putting another cylinder head on there. See, we put cam bearings, camshaft. I'll show you the rollers over here. I had Josh's squeeze. We're wiring, and my gosh, this one's just, I just forgot what a project this is. Anyway, I'll show you that here shortly. We're getting really, really close to starting it. Floor sweep is everywhere because I had taken the fuel line off the bottom, and as you can see, I've got two junction blocks in there over there on the frame. That's where I split the keypads with the wiring in those junction boxes. But anyways, there's a ball valve down here on the fuel tank, and I had the fuel line off. Well, I was standing down in there, and I barely bumped that ball valve somehow with my foot and opened it partially, and I didn't catch it. And I came back the next morning, and I could smell it when I walked in, an old rotten diesel fuel, and I could smell the old rotten diesel fuel, and everything underneath the squeeze and all the way to the back of the bench was standing fuel. I was like, ugh. So anyways, that's what the floor sweep's everywhere for. And actually, it was clear up to there, and I cleaned a whole bunch of that up. I still need to clean this up. That's one of my other projects for the day. But anyway, here are the rollers that came out of that C12. Look how where the pin comes through here, this is completely gone. Not even there anymore. It was just flopping around on there. Here's another one. Here's an injector rocker. That's what it's supposed to look like. Can you obviously see the difference? So anyways, we put all new rollers, cam bearing, cylinder head, front seal. They actually came and got it yesterday. So here's the deal. My other laptop crashed on me, and I should be on Bluebird right now. I'm gonna put my body number in there, it's kind of handy. It actually remembers it, so I don't have to keep trying to memorize that myself. And then you go over here to wiring schematics. And I want to find out, the next thing I'm trying to do here is, got a couple issues right now For some reason, the park light is always on, even with the key off. I got to look at the wiring on that and figure out why that's doing that. That's why I got the battery charger on 2 amp, because I don't want to run the battery down. Those are brand new batteries, and I don't want to destroy them. But I'll show you the keypad situation. Here's a toggle switch for it. There's 2 toggle switches. This one's going to switch the throttles, and this one switches the keypads. So I'd kind of like to do, so I put the one keypad right here, obviously. I kind of got a little bit carried away with my grinder when I cut this out. What I'm going to do is get some strap and just weld around here to make this look decent. The same thing with the other one. Let's turn the key on. So you can see that keypad there lights up. That one's not lit up. And I can go to drive. It ain't gonna do anything till you get a speed signal from the engine. So those are shifting. I had quite a time getting them wired. I was about halfway dyslexic when I was wiring them. I kept getting wires backwards. This one here, I didn't have another round plug. You know, the typical, this plug right here, this is the plug I ended up cutting off the keypad because I didn't have the female side of that to put on this one. So I figured out how many wires I needed. I needed 10 wires, and I had a Deutsch connector kit, so I just made my own harness with a female and a male Deutsch end on it. But that worked out just fine. It was just kind of tricky trying to figure out what wires went where. But you'll see, here's that keypad. I'll go, that's the throttle, I'm on the wrong one. I kind of wanted a 2-throw 3-pole switch instead of, this is a 3-throw 6-pole switch, but it'll work. See, now that keypad's lit up. Go drive. There's reverse. And I can actually hear the relays for the forward, neutral, and reverse in this box on the firewall activating, so that's good news. Let's go back to this keypad here. And turn the key off. But anyways, my other laptop crashed on me, and I got Cummins Insight back on this one. That's really handy having, I used to use all those Cummins Insight hack programs, and then I actually got one through my dealer now, which is really handy because now when my laptop crashes, I don't have to get a hold, well, you can't. You have to buy a whole nother program from these hack outfits and start all over again. But if you have a subscription through Cummins, all you got to do is get your login information, download Cummins Insight off the internet, off Cummins website, and then just put your activation keys in there and you're done. That's it. You know? And I don't have to try to download it all again and try to get the regen pass keys and all that crap in there to fool it, and I don't even want to deal with that shit anymore. Anyway, but I don't have my Texa diagnostics back on it yet. I got to get a hold of those guys probably next week. And the reason for that is they want me to, I haven't bought any updates for the Texa for a while. And I used to be a dealer for that, but I kind of gave that whole thing up because I was letting people down on the whole thing. I didn't have time to sit there, and they wanted to call you all the time, and you spent hours on the phone with these people trying to, and most of the time, to be completely frank and honest with you, it was their fault. They didn't know how to operate their own system. And then, you know, and then you spent hours, and you were just losing money on the whole thing and losing your ass when you could have been working on something like this that actually made something. Instead, you're on the phone on a product that you sold that now you're responsible for this thing. So I gave up the whole thing. I don't want to do it anymore. let's go. We got to figure out the neutral, because I know I'm in neutral, but it's still not starting, and I'm pretty certain that I got it wired, because I wired the actual switch in. I don't remember. Hang on, I need to see a couple more wires that I need to solder together up here, and we still got to tidy all this stuff up, but we don't really want to do that till we get. I don't know. I don't think that's. Trying to remember which one to start. Which one was start on this? That's battery, ground, ignition. Accessory, ground. Where's the start? It's not making any sense here. Ignition. Accessory. That center one should be the start one. Yeah, that is the start one. The center one is the start one. So let's look and see what color wire that is. I know I'm in neutral, but see, I have nothing. Alright, so that is going to be what wire number? Is it even wired on the other end here? That's the thing. Let me know about that. It's a purple wire. Okay. Okay. Let me dig through this conglomeration of crap. It'll look a lot better once I get everything where I know that I'm trying to keep from having to tear all this apart again. I only want to do it one time. So that's why everything's in such a disarray here. Well, there's the purple wire. So yeah, I'm certain it's probably not going to start because there's the purple wire hanging out right there. Okay, that would probably make perfect sense as to why it's not starting. There is the purple wire. So, okay, where is a purple wire in here? And that's what I told you before, is Bluebird did a pretty horrific job on labeling their wires. For some reason, they only put the wire number right at the connector. Whereas, like most time, Peterbilt, Kenworth, Freightliner, they'll put the wire number in intervals all the way down the line. And Kenworth was always notorious for doing like dash wiring, and every wire in the dash, they were all white. All of them were the same color. But they put the numbers on the wires in intervals, and you could, if one of them was exposed to sunlight and it faded the number out, you could usually go down the line and trace the wire out and find another number on the insulation and go, oh, okay, this is the one. But these guys just put the number up on the connector, right by the connector, and didn't put it anywhere else on the wire. And it's like, well, that's not very helpful. So let's find the purple wire. Let me put this here, maybe. I am looking for a purple wire. Blue wire. Okay, we gotta find it. About this one here, it's another purple one. It's hooked to something already. So far I'm not seeing it. I'm getting nowhere. I'm probably gonna have to go to the eye doctor. My wife's been on my butt, which rightfully so, because I've been avoiding it, but I just can't see like I used to be able to see. Sucks getting old, doesn't it? Getting old's not for weenies. Okay. start pulling wires out of the loom that have not been hooked to anything. I'm wondering, there's a bunch of wires here that aren't hooked to anything. I'm probably going to have to hook up look at a lot of these wires on the schematic to make sure that we're not missing something too somewhere down the line. I'm not really seeing a purple wire here that's not, you know, like one that's not been used or anything. Unless they've changed the color scheme somewhere on me and I'm not aware of that, which is very possible. Yeah, still not seeing it, guys. Still not seeing a purple wire. That's not being used here. Okay, so what the heck's going on here, huh? Well, I guess we better get in that schematic, figure out what's going on, huh? There's a purple and a black, and then there's another one, a pink with a black tracer on it, which I don't think I even need that one. It was an accessory. Let's get into the wiring schematic and let's figure out what in the hell's going on here. Okay, so we're on the master chassis schematic. Here is the start wire, which is the purple wire. And let's see, it's going, let's put the old arrow right on it. Pretty close anyway. Oops. I lost it. It's down. It's going to ignition dropout, whatever the hell that is. Ignition dropout. Okay, so what relay? Trying to figure out what panel this is in. Do I even have that? Or ignition dropout. Do I need that ignition dropout anyway? Let's look at this wiring schematic right here. Well, let's look and see. I know there's a neutral relay, but I don't think that has anything to do with this ignition dropout that they're referring to. Unless they're saying K3 ignition, engine trans ignition. I don't see anything labeled as ignition dropout. Here's our starter solenoid starter relay right there. So obviously, well, it ain't gonna do much of good of anything if we can't get it hooked into there. Somewhere that purple wire has got to be in there somewhere, and I've got to find it. But I got to figure out this ignition. Are those labeled as far as like K3 on that schematic or K2 or anything like that? Probably not. It's not really, I don't really see a label as far as that goes. I don't see it. 1008. is going to there. So when the relay latches, what are these other relays? Headlight, high beam, body ignition, vandal lock, horn. I don't think I'm going to even use, I'm going to find out where these, I'm going to trace this wire out if I can find it. Either that or I'll run another wire to it. And just go to the stupid start relay and bypass all this nonsense. It's just, yeah, I'm not even going to worry about that shit. Let me find this wire. I might be forced to wire in a relay for this ignition dropout because it's all associated with that park light that's on the instrument cluster to get that park light to go out. Let's go over here. So the purple wire going to blade number 2 for the signal to this relay from the start. Ignition dropout. So obviously, I guess if it's not in park, it's not going to latch the relay. That's one relay that it's associated. Then it comes over, then it comes down here, and it's also going to this vandal lock, which is an anti-theft type of relay, which I wonder if we can go around that. I think though this one here I'm going to have to do that because all these other wires, if you trace this 1102C out, no, it's 1102E. It comes down here and goes to your park brake air switch. So, which is the switch that on the actual dash control, the yellow knob, which is those two right there. So I think I'm gonna have to wire a relay in for that. I don't think I have a choice the way they've got it set up. Which is not that big a deal, but I don't want to do this vandal lock thing. I don't really want to do that and make it more complicated than it already is. So let's trace out ignition dropout. We're looking for the purple 1008A, and I think it changed to 1000. So it's going to come down to number 2 on this one for our signal side. And once this relay latches, it's going to come out to pin 1008C, and then it comes down here. Wait, which line is that? It's going to be the second one towards the inside. It's going to be that one right there. Okay, so then it's going into remote start. I guess start, I would think. Am I missing something here? 1008C. 1009. These are just going to be, what are they doing here? They must be putting a battery supply. This 16 gauge wire's got to be the supply to it. Where's the ground at on this setup? Number 3, yellow. Let's chase out this one here. It's going clear over here. Vandal lock 2601. Well, so if we go back down here and we go, where did I see that remote start? That's be on frame components, and I think we're on the master chassis. So let's go down to the frame. See if we can find this. I gotta blow it up to where I can read it. Maximize it. Alright, let's see if we can find that. And I gotta get this rotated around where things are right side up. Alright, so we got ignition switch, starter, starter switch. Wait. 1009 yellow. I'm kind of curious about that. 1009 yellow. Am I reading this wrong? What am I doing here? That's this wire here. Where's it going? 1009 yellow, rear control. I think that's going to the, because you can start that bus from the back. Okay, yeah, that's just going to that ignition switch on the back. Okay. But there's our 1102C park brake. Still don't see 1001 yellow, 16 gauge. Where's the starter at? Oil pressure, where is the starter at? Would it be easier just to find the starter and... Where in the hell's the starter at? PDU power. Brake signal. Oh, where in the hell is the starter at? High idle solenoid. Idle validation switches. Idle position sensor. I still don't see oil pressure gauge, remote start switch. Here's that 1008C again. They're still not showing the damn starter on it. That 1008C, I think, there's the switch. So the arrow is pointing that way. I'm thinking it's going that way. Yeah. Let's trace out this 1008C. Maybe it'll lead me to the starter. Remote start. There we go again. And this is the ignition dropout. Here I am back to master chassis. Where is the starter at? Where in the hell is the starter at? Is it on the engine side? Let's see. Let's go back down to ISC. See if they show the starter on there. This is the kind of thing that just drives you crazy. You know, you don't even know what to bill on half of the stuff. You spend so much time looking at wiring schematics and trying to trace things out when you're doing these projects. And then they get the bill and they go, I can't believe that cost so much. You told it was going to cost me this much. You know, it's like, I didn't make you a quote, dude. I gave you an estimate. Water and fuel, Cummins power interface, alternator. Where the fuck is the starter at? Starter motor, finally. Okay, signal is a purple 10 gauge wire. I'm certain that's going up to the PDU, the power distribution unit, up in that panel. Okay, we've got a 12 gauge wire, starter solenoid, and it's teed off on another wire. There's two starter solenoid wires there, and that's on the PDU. Okay, so what about ignition switch, 1102 pink black, VP44 power, starter solenoid, starter switch. Boy, they sure made this about as complicated as humanly possible. So I need to find out where it's going into. Good grief, what a... Why do you gotta make things so overcomplicated? A simple signal wire going to a starter. I mean, good grief, man, come on. Ignition switch. Engine stop lamp, neutral start. Ignition, neutral start ground. Neutral start positive. Okay, well, those two big purple wires, it's obvious to see, are the ones going up to the start. They're going up to the... There's the two big wires right here going up to the start relay. And they're actually incorporated into this plug on the bottom. So it's kind of looking for one of these other purple wires should be like telling me the signal. That still isn't making a lot of sense, you know what? What's signaling? That's the output. That's the output of those relays. So there's got to be a signal side, which is going to be this yellow. I think it's going to be that yellow one right there. What do you want to bet? Let's see here. So let's unplug it maybe and then take the power probe on it. So there's a bunch of wires. There's 3 wires on that. Let's just, one of them's going to be battery, that one. That's going to be the out, and this is the signal. Still isn't doing anything, but... Why is that relay not wanting to actually... Why is it not latching? What's going on here? So I do know that that has got to be... So we got a 1001 yellow wire and we got a couple white wires with green tracers on them. Oh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. What are they trying to do here? Okay. So let's go back. I know that that one wire, I saw a 1001 yellow wire on that schematic. If I remember correctly. It was over here. Right here. Here's the big purple wires right here. Starter solenoid, starter switch, 1001 yellow. Let's blow this up a little more so I can... starter switch, that's what we're looking for. That one right there. And it's coming. It's coming right up here to a engine interconnect 2. Okay. Engine interconnect 2. I wonder, is that going to be on the frame side or the chassis side? Front engine interconnect 2, and there it is right there. Start switch 1009 yellow, 16 gauge, and it's going way over here, and then it's going over here to the rear control. Which obviously we don't have hooked up. It's weird how it's purple. That purple start switch, remote start switch. Well, let's see here. So should I be, you know what I think's going on? I cut that harness way back towards the back of the frame, and that's the reason I'm not seeing the purple wire. I bet the yellow one that I'm looking for is in here somewhere. What do you want to bet? I bet one of these yellow wires is going to be the 109 or 1101 or whatever the hell it was. I don't even really see that, to be honest with you. What about this one right here? That's yellow with a black tracer. Now here is a solid yellow wire. Right here, and I bet that's gonna be it. What do you want to bet? Cannot read the number on it. 1009. Yeah, that's it right there. That's exactly what happened. So there's the wire right there. So what are we going to do about, we still haven't addressed this issue with this park brake light being on all the time. But that's what happened is when I cut that harness, I basically cut out that whole section. It's still in the bus, the purple wire that would go up to here. So what they're doing is they're going all the way back to from here with this purple wire, and they're going all the way back to that ignition dropout and that vandal lock, and they're going all the way back to the rear control. So this one here basically should be running pretty much directly to that box. We're going to find out here shortly, but that still doesn't rectify this issue right here, which we've got to take care of that. Let's what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to get an ohm meter and check from here to that wire where I unplugged it out there, and I should have some kind of continuity out there. And that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to wire, trying to think this through here. Should I wire this into a relay for this ignition dropout, because it has all the park brake stuff on it? I still don't think I need that for that. I think I can still get rid of that with just a relay. And once the air pressure, once the air pressure gets up and you push the knob in, where did that knob go? And once you push this in, so you're going to have a constant feed on one side and then an output on the other side. So it should go back through all that relay and turn the light off. That's what it should do. So let's get this checked out here and figure this problem out. Alright guys, I tried to save myself a little time, and I just took my power probe and just put a little power to that yellow wire, and the starter bumped over, and I was like, well, that's it. So let's test. I got it soldered together. Let's test the neutral safety now. Okay, so it's in neutral. Let's just bump it. Okay, so that's working. If we go to drive, well, the way this damn, see, nothing. The way the key is, though, it only lets you. Okay, so the neutral safety is working properly. That's what we want. So the next thing to do now is get this park brake light out. We are gaining on her now. We've got the most difficult part about the process of retrofitting these squeezes is wiring both throttle pedals, and the hardest part out of all is wiring those keypads and making your own harnesses and figuring out a way to separate them. So, which the manufacturer down the road here, oh, you got to have that programmed, and I'll show you if you're looking at the wiring schematic, Let's see if I can find that for you so I can give you a little better idea of what I'm talking about. Now, I know what they're talking about as far as being programmed. I'm not even really certain that it has to be programmed. Let's go. I think I might have downloaded that schematic somewhere. Might be in the downloads. I did. I downloaded Allison. No, I think it was that one, was it? No, that was a mining claim I was looking at. Is that it? Oh, I remember now. It was on this troubleshooting manual. Let's go into this. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Yeah, it's... Alright, so let's go on down to like... This will give us a wiring schematic. So let's go back to the 2312 code, which is the code I was getting when I had it wired wrong. 2412, let's go to the 2312. Okay, you'll notice here that if you were going to wire this, you got a primary, here's your keypad. So if you had two keypads, which we have, you can't wire it. So you got a common. So if you were wiring two keypads, you would go off the common to PSS and SSS, which is primary shift selector and secondary shift selector. And so these wires here would be, R is your battery power, P is your sensor power, your 5-volt reference supplies all the sensors inside the keypad. And then you're going to have a return wire, obviously a ground, and in this mode input and the display. Those are all common. And then you wouldn't hook up these here this way. You would hook up SSS, let's see here, PSS only and SSS only. So you'd have to wire the keypads individually, okay? So, well, no, I'm wrong about that. A, B, C, D, E. This one's A, B, C, D, E on these. So you would wire the A, B, C, D, E for the primary shift selector. Then you would wire the secondary shift selector with the A, B, C, D, E. And these would be the common for the twos. Well, the problem was on the secondary shift selector, if you trace out the A, it goes to S21, S22 on the black connector on the control module. Well, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 aren't even in the wiring harness on that. It's not wired for it in the connector. So that's the reason I used the junction box. I took these and wired them all to studs on a junction box to where they were all basically tied together. And then what I did is I usually like to switch my grounds if I can instead of the power supply, because it's just, if you can switch a ground, it's way better because it's less likelihood of a wire shorting out and burning something down or something like that. But what I had to do is I had to run the 12-volt power supply, battery supply up to that switch, to the center peg on the switch, and then split it there. I was trying to switch the grounds, but for some reason, I pulled the ground wires off the stud I had them on, but somehow that controller was still grounding because it was still lighting up the keypads. I thought, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to switch our power supply. So maybe that's a little bit better definition and explanation to you as to what I was trying to accomplish there and the way that I did it and why I did it that way. Well guys, it's the next day. I had a bunch of service calls this morning and I went and made some hoses. I made a pressure line for this turbo because I had to turn the manifold upside down, and so I know it doesn't look right, but my hose press is clear down there, 35 miles, a 70-mile round trip to make these hoses, and if my press was right here, I mean, I could have grabbed some hose and kind of mocked it up and probably did a little better job. It's like I had an opportunity to do it one time, which is no big deal. I'll figure out a way to make this look a little better. But anyway, the other one was too short because the manifold was turned upside down. The turbo was down here before. So anyway, I just made a hose with 290 flat face O-ring fittings on it that come up, and I got it full of oil, and I know it's pumping oil because I forgot about the drain tube, didn't reach either, and I had to cut it, which this is 5/8 maybe. What is this here? What size is this? So no, it's 3/4. So I need some 1-inch. I need some 1-inch. It's a little bit too small, but it'll work for the temporary process of testing and anything. I cranked on a little bit and it was squirting oil out of there, and it just began to fire. So I know it's smoking and it's trying to fire. And let's double check the oil on it. Full. Oil pressure gauge is acting goofy, and my wiring, I checked it, it's correct. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. It's pegging the gauge when you turn the key on. Kind of odd. So I know it's pumping oil. Let's see, what else do I need to check? That all should be good. And I was cranking on it before, and that wet spot underneath is fuel because I was bleeding it out. So let's see what we got here, huh? And now let's see if it pegs it when I turn the key on again. Why in the hell is it doing that? Hang on, the drive line is turning. The drive line's turning, and it's gonna rip my hoses I just made out of there. That's another thing, I made these longer because I knew if I measured them out exactly the right length, I knew that if I would have got clear over here, they'd have been too short. You know, that's the way my luck goes. And I would have wasted hoses and fittings, so I made them extra long, and I thought, well, I'll just loop them around to make them work. I know it looks like shit, but it's just, I've been doing this too long. I know if you don't make them exactly perfect, they'll always wind up too short. It never fails. It's just the human error, you know. Iron harnesses clear up here too. We don't need those. Let me get a zip tie and just tie them up here temporarily so that doesn't take off on me and destroy everything that I've done. That would really suck for that to rip those hoses out of there like that. That would really, really suck. I wanted to just see if the throttles work real quick. I think I might have taken all my zip ties out to the service truck. Yeah, that's what I did. Let's walk out there and grab a zip tie. I probably got some in my toolbox actually in there, but I don't remember what I did with them. What did I do with those zip ties? I can't remember which drawer I put them in. All I need is just one for now. Get that thing temporarily tied up to where the drive line turning isn't going to rip it out. And that's another thing. I got to figure out drive line length and go. Let's see, I can't remember. I think it's got to be shortened if I remember correctly. I don't know what the deal is with that oil pressure, kind of bothers me. I gotta figure out what's going on with that. I know it's got oil pressure because it was pumping it out the drain line of the turbo, so you know it's going clear to the top of the turbo. So that's obviously telling you it's got oil pressure. So if it's coming out the bottom of the turbo, then it's obviously going through the top of it. Okay, that'll keep things maybe from getting ripped out of their sockets and all that kind of stuff. So I got it on this keypad here. Gonna need two hands here. Alright guys, well both throttles work, and I actually shifted the keypad and it went, the drive line started spinning different directions. So obviously forward and reverse are working. Gotta figure out what the hell's going on with this damn oil pressure gauge. I don't know what to make of that right now. Let's get underneath it. I'm gonna have to open the door. She's smoking me out here. With this little shop, it don't take much, and then you're going to like asphyxiate yourself. Okay, do we have any huge piles of fluids underneath it anywhere? Okay, nothing more than what was already there from the bleeding procedure. Okay, I might go get my laptop or Nexi Q too and plug into that and see if any codes came up. I'm probably gonna have maybe some low rail pressure codes or something like that from cranking on it to get it bled out. Okay. Well guys, with this project, when you get when you get it to where one of these runs, I mean, you're pretty happy. Pretty damn happy. She runs. Okay. So, what was I gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna get the laptop and just check that out. And then I gotta figure out what's going on with the oil pressure gauge. That's not making a whole lot of sense to me right now. Yeah, okay. I gotta figure the oil pressure problem out, why the gauge is not working properly. So my thinking is they probably got one sending unit, one sensor for the ECM, and they probably got one somewhere else. It's probably not plugged in or something for the gauge. So let's connect to the ECM. I unplugged the one that I could find, but that's the actual sensor for it goes to the ECM. It's not for the gauge. So there's going to be an oil pressure sensor code in there. So we're connected to the ECM. Let's go over here to fault codes, and I'm sure there's going to be reading data. It's a little slow on this old ECM. There's going to be an oil pressure sensor inactive code in there, but all kinds of inactive codes. Okay, I don't care. Come on. Any day now. Why can't I expand this? It's not letting me highlight anything. Come on, man. There we go. Maybe. Well, she's being lethargically slow. And Somebody say, oh, it's a brand new laptop, dude. It's Cummins program. It's not the fucking laptop. Let's see here. Power and or speed derate. Possible values for fuel temperature. Possible low power and no engine protection. What are you talking about? Power and derate. Engine may run rough. Let's just see what comes. It does seem like it kind of runs a little rough. Why is this? My other laptop crashed, and this one's like, I don't know what it is, but this thing's really, really slow. Alright, let's clear all these. We'll see which ones come back. Default value used for oil pressure. No engine protection for oil pressure. Yeah. Okay, engine oil pressure. Let's just check it out real quick. PSI. No fault codes detected in ECM. Why is it running so rough? Cleared them, and none of those codes that were in there came back. Reading data. No fault codes detected in ECM. Must just have a little bit of air in the system, and I don't have the charger cooler line hooked up either. I wonder if any of this stuff. I hooked up these switches. I'm just kind of curious to see. How about the high idle switch? Let's go. I think I clicked on all parameters. Idle increment switch says none. What are you talking about? I'm just kind of wondering here if they give me a list of parameters on this. Intake, let's see. I'm pretty certain I hooked them up. Okay, we can look and see. That's the thing, after you wire all it, and then you gotta try to get it all working, make sure it all. Cruise control PTO, so it's cruise control. Where's the on off? Cruise control PTO switch off. There it goes. It finally switched to on. Takes forever. This old ECM, it's just slow. Here's that's on. Let's go up to that. I'm on the set resume. It should change. Set coast, so that's working. Let's go down to the resume side. Now the top one should change, where it says none. No, I see. Cruise control set resume switch. Cruise set resume. Okay. Engine brake level switch 100%. Oh, this is the idle increment switch right here, isn't it? So let's go back down and look at that idle increment. Idle increment switch. I think if I hold that, I think I wired all that stuff. Yep. Increment. So now if I go the other direction, it should say decrement. Oh, this is slow, isn't it? Now I'm holding it the other way. Yes. That's what we're looking for. Let's just see what happens real quick. We know we got oil pressure, so we can't hurt her too much. Okay guys, that works and that works. So we have the high idle works, and the increment decrement switch works, the cruise on and off works. Okay, so we got to get the oil pressure gauge to work properly. The voltmeter's working. Now the fuel gauge, I don't know. Obviously the air pressure is not going to work till we get some lines hooked to it. Trans temp, I'm not certain about that yet. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Keypads work. Both keypads work. Both throttles work. We're kicking ass now. Well, guys, that's probably all I'm gonna video for now. I'm gonna figure out where the gauge itself is getting. There's a sending unit somewhere on this thing for the gauge, and it's not reading properly. It's unplugged or wires backwards or something.